Cool. That'll be our sync.
He gets the biggest mic, of course.
Of course he does.
The big mic? Oh man, welcome to the Decentralized Power podcast. My name is Joel Kaminsky, your host. I'm honored today to have a panel of incredible guests here and to talk about the Mid-Atlantic solar market, Power World, our company's convention. Disclaimer, we work for one of the best, fastest growing renewable energy platforms in the world, focusing on the US of A, residential market. If you guys need help, talk to any one of these fine individuals and we can figure out any kind of plan for you for your energy, monetary savings, or to help the climate at all. So today we have, like I said, our incredible guests. It is my absolute honor and pleasure to introduce the man in the middle, a veteran to leadership from military to civilian life, a serial entrepreneur who has helped build and grow multiple companies by training top-tier sales and management teams, a man who has been instrumental to Power's development since 2015, and the current top income earner on the entire Power platform by serving thousands of clients and consultants across the country. It's my deep honor and privilege to welcome Sir Charles Thompson.
It is my honor, my friend, to be with these amazing gentlemen as well. So thank you.
Absolutely, thank you for being here. And I met this fine young man a month ago at this very property, the Freedom Farm, Sir Charles land, that is fully sovereign. We might jump into that in a little bit. We were part of the soft launch for the Mid-Atlantic market, as Charles has come from the West Coast to the East Coast, and we'll discover why a little bit later. But this man right here melted my heart when he walked into the room. He was quiet, he was listening, and he told us his story that he doesn't like to brag about too much, but he was raised with his siblings, helping raise them and his family, extremely supportive while working and going to school. Built an incredible company that he ended up selling to one of the largest investment firms for, is that over 700 million?
It was 2.9 billion. Is what the final was with BlackRock, yeah?
Yeah. So highly impressive, and he doesn't lead with that fake confidence, gusto, but just a very humble heart. Just constantly impressing me and a mentor to me as well ever since I met him, which has been a very short time. Craig Stratton, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, my man. We got Davis in the background. You might hear him cheering as our audience doing work. My man. And our final guest, our final fellow James Madison University alumni, go Dukes!
Go Dukes!
Known as the Solar Fi Guy, he has a long history in wealth management, where he cut his teeth on macro and microeconomics, and currently uses his trove of knowledge to educate and inform his clients, running local networking events, spreading the freedom solar provides to us all here in the Mid-Atlantic. People's man, and my privilege to introduce Zachary Jackson.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So thank you guys for being here. Now, my first question just off the top of my head is, how have you guys all gotten connected?
I stalked Charles. That's the sum of it, really. No, I've been in leadership long enough, the vast majority of my adulthood and in business. And so I pay attention. I see who I want to emulate, and I get myself around them as much as I can. And that's Success 101, is you get yourself around people that you want to be like and emulate. And whether or not they're going to mentor you doesn't matter, because you're just going to stop them, I guess. But yeah, that's what brought me to Virginia. A big reason why. I was down in Power World last year, 2023, and I had just started with Power. And I had a great summer. I came in late. I didn't know I was in a competition, placed fourth, and was told, and I was like, cool, Charles texted me and said, you come into Power World. And at the time I wasn't. I grabbed a red eye and showed up. These guys were great. They let me participate and see all the things and do all the things. And then that was awesome. And then I rolled into, right after that, he had announced with his wife that they're coming to Virginia. I was like, well, in South Carolina, you know. And so a part of my previous history is investing and purchasing properties and whatnot. And so I've got two special needs boys, and we recognized that Virginia was a wonderful opportunity for them specifically with some things up here. And so putting two and two together, I thought it was an awesome move. It was done. So we bought a home up here, moved up here, and then I recognized early on that I needed to produce and be a rep and enjoy that again, because I love that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's the best.
What do you like about that?
Man, there is no sweeter time. It's like being a parent now and having children. You recognize all the crap that your parents had to go through. And being a rep, experienced rep and all of that, you have no idea how good you have it. Everything, you don't have any of the downside, any of the problems. Your job is to make sales and make money and enjoy all the perks. And you don't know there's a lot of struggle behind the scenes that these guys have to do to produce the opportunity. Great sacrifices are made for those moments. And so my first thing was I wanted to have at least 1 year and just enjoy that again. And so I did. And it wasn't until, Power Day? That was called Power Day at my house. And then the gig was up. Everybody got to come over to my home, and then they're like, "Hey, you live a pretty nice house, What's going on?" And so I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure.
Who are you? Undercover.
I don't know what's happening. And no, I just got off the phone with Jonathan Budd two nights ago, and he goes, "Good to talk with you. Why the hell have you been undercover bossing my company the past year?" I thought that was awesome.
That's really cool.
So I loved it. That was great. And then, I was excited about what Charles is doing here, and I recognize the opportunity here. It's rare occasions where you get to see an opportunity happen and then you have a window to take action. It is so rare in life. And the older I've gotten, the more I've recognized that I've missed some and I've hit some, and I know I can tell the difference. It's made tremendous differences in my life and others. This is one of those you gotta hit. So when that happened, I've taken action. Here we are.
Yeah, got it all in. Yeah, and Zachary, how did you get connected with Power? What's your coming to Power story?
So it's actually someone not in the room originally. My brother has been in Power before I was. So my younger brother, some people, because his name is Sage and because he looks sometimes older, they think he's the older brother. He's not. But in some ways, his name precedes him. So he was very wise to tell me about some of the pros of working with good people. And he came into Power from another solar company, which they did great work, but some things went sort of astray or, out of alignment with really being a good person in the way they represented who they were, what they did with the money that came in, and how they served their clients. But before, there was a lot of great people, and they came to Power. He started telling me about Power, what they're doing, how they work, really about the tech side of it. My background also is a lot with technology. So I went to school for computer information systems and business. So I've worked with a lot of different systems, 10 plus years of telecom work as well. And so just seeing all these systems and just seeing the platform as a service, as Power is, and more so the people and the platform and the people in it and who they are. I met Charles, and it was in brief passing in Dallas. I was very busy, but met Charles there. Very inspired by you, everything you've done. Very amazing stuff, continuing to be so, and also the work that you're doing on yourself outside of business is something I really value. Another part of what brings me to Power is that type of element. It draws in the people that want to develop themselves as well as the world. So That was really kind of Power and Charles, the intro. However, Craig was actually kind of really, it's an interesting story, and I won't make it take too long. I know we have a lot of things to cover, but basically 2023 was really tough. It was really tough for solar, and a lot of people that really stood out were those that went above and beyond and really made sure that quality work was getting done and it was getting through to completion. I was having trouble with different installers. Power was having trouble with different installers. Other companies were. And I had a couple projects and a couple of them in installers in other states. I was attempting to work in other states remotely because, that's a powerful thing Power enables. I've since not given up on that. I still do, but I'm more focused more locally. And in part, what happened was I had some projects that were pretty big, hit me pretty hard. They fell through. I was expecting the money to come in. It didn't. Was looking for someone I could count on. Sage had done some work with Craig and said, hey, it probably makes sense for you to reach out to Craig. He's like, in your area. He's, around there. You should talk to him. So I think actually when I first texted Craig, I was on a train.
I'm like,
yeah.
on a train?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. I'm like messaging him on an Amtrak train, and I'm like talking to him about installation, and then get all excited, and he's like, come meet me.
Yeah, come over to my house.
Come over to my house.
Yeah.
He says this gazebo. I had no idea what I was envisioning with the gazebo. Kind of undercover, like you said earlier, Joel. Just very humble, and there was very easy to talk to. And then since then, Craig's been very instrumental in working in this market. And then from there, I know we're going to touch on this here in a little bit, so I can hold on it. I don't know if there's a process. Okay, so the local market, I'm going to mostly let Craig speak to this, but I'll just kind of intro into it. Craig has been working in solar for 17 years. Now, with that, he's been working with his own solar installation, bringing that to Power, and he came to Power within about a year's time. Does that sound about right? About a year's time. And I've been working in this space full time for about a year and a half, but part time before. And Virginia, I've been following the laws, I've been following the changes. One of the first ones to really dive into like how the SRECs work and Power Platform and start sharing that with people in the East Coast. So I saw this value here, I saw it was here. It all sort of started coming out as state incentives and East Coast incentives. All this juicy, amazing things that'll help solar proliferate into the future. And then the interest rates got pulled out from underneath of us. So a lot of people only got a little taste and then a scaring away from finance, which is so instrumental in solar in 2023. And now things are adjusting. Things are changing, rates are coming back, and all those credits that existed still exist today. And that market opportunity is something that Craig has been working in for a while, and maybe he wants to talk a little bit on what he's been doing on the East Coast.
Yeah, he's the boss. I'm letting him.
Yeah, so that's a good segue, Zach. Thank you for doing that. With Charles coming over here from the West Coast to the East Coast, I wanted you to lead the way in this kind of conversation because you're an incredible leader and you have a good story for almost everything you talk about. So what was your purpose in coming out here, developing the Freedom Farm, and leading this Mid-Atlantic East Coast charge? Why now? Why here?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've lived here before. I raised my children here years ago. I served in the military up in Northern Virginia for 2 years on the Air Force Honor Guard. And I fell in love with the culture, the people, the community. It was a very different vibe than what I came from, which I was living in Texas at the time. But when the pandemic hit, I moved from Texas to San Diego for us to create and build a studio there for all the training that we do. And they said, just come for 3 weeks. They housed me and took care of me. And then they said, well, it's 3 months. And then went 3 months to 3 years. 3.5 years later, I said, I want to go back to the country. I want to go back and be where I can have freedom. And we always talk about in our company about freedom. And I found no better place than living in the country to truly have location freedom, time freedom, and all the other freedoms that are associated. I wanted to come to Virginia for that reason, but also because I have incredible incentives here that I'm sure we're going to share today. And then I'm just blessed to be able to say that I know that we will take this market and become the fastest growing market in the power platform. Trust me, we will crush it in this market.
Yeah. And so you're building a team around here, making this the home base. Now, you had a bunch of us over here for the soft launch, but why now? Like, where are we at in the maturity of the Mid-Atlantic market? I was in the Home Depot program, really giving it my all with power, and we got a lot of traction. Grew from 0 to 70 accounts in 65 to 70 days, but it still felt early. So where are we at in the Mid-Atlantic market? What have the incentive changes been, and why do people want solar right now?
Where we are is we are at a very minimal level of adoption, and the adoption is just going to continue to increase. You're going to go solar, whether you know it or not, whether you want to or not, you are going to go solar. The utility is either going to build a solar farm, and you're going to get solar energy, or you can put it on your rooftop and actually take control. So I looked at this market because of the incentives that have not changed. They've actually been stabilized for many years now. And then you have the federal income tax credit that came back up to 30%. And I wanted to come to a market that we could literally offer the homeowner the best way to control and predict their energy bill and give them tremendous incentives to be able to take advantage of going solar. This is one of the top markets in the country. I came from California, which was a great market, but had some real difficulties, which you mentioned a little bit. This market has been very steadily and consistently getting better and better for homeowners to go solar. And I wanted to be here in time to lead the way to massive growth in the industry.
Right. So what are some of those incentives, Craig, that are pushing homeowners into that natural discussion? Oh, I'm already paying for solar. Why not take control, level out my bill, and stop paying such high rate hikes?
Well, first off, let me kind of tell you, I've sold officially now in all 50 states, something, whether it's solar or security. I can't say solar, that's not true, but I did security and now solar. Those two things combined, I've done all 50 states. And thanks to power, I was able to reach Hawaii. I never would have.
Ever been to Hawaii?
I've been to everywhere but Hawaii. And I mean, I have to go now,
There
for sure.
Go. Yeah.
But with that in mind, I really have noticed over the years, I've been through 3 market tanks and 3 market pops, and I've noticed what happens with the different states and legislation. And the reason why this market is so prime is because, one, we still have one-to-one net metering, which is very strong. That's essential for meeting a return on investment faster. Okay, because those additional things that you might get, like say storage, batteries, are essential in so many markets, and eventually everybody's going to get that. But if you're looking for a fast return on investment today, a one-to-one net metering is going to be the best bang for the buck. You're going to find that here, and you're going to find it the strongest here. That's number one. So I noticed that, and as we've seen in other states, California, Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, they have reduced or altered or changed the one-to-one net metering. So now it's partial metering, or sometimes it's no metering at all. And so then in that case, Power has an awesome opportunity with our battery storage to be able to supplement that, so homeowners are still getting amazing value and able to participate even after one-to-one net metering is gone. But the point remains, one-to-one net metering is the king. That is what brought solar to the market. That is what made it thrive for so many years. And so that is, I'm chasing the one-to-one wherever it goes. Right. Okay, so up here is awesome. That's number one. Number two is what we now know as SRACs, which is solar renewable energy credits. Now, are you guys familiar with SRACs or how they work? Things like that?
Yeah, but you're a panelist, so keep talking.
It can get a little bit convoluted, but here's the basics of it. The basics of it is most states in the United States got federal ITC, and also state. Okay. SRECs is a great way to look at it as that particular state's state credit, if you will. It's very similar. They're very similar as far as that goes. SRECs is a lot of fun. For every 1,000 kilowatts put into the SREC grid, you get one SREC. And that one SREC, when you are given your paperwork from the state that you're operating in or doing SRECs with, it will give you three options. Typically, because we use Carbon Solutions, which is an awesome group to work with. There's a plug for them. Yep. Number one, they'll give you a early payout check, which is nice, okay? But I don't usually advise them to do it.
It's often reduced, correct?
It's always reduced.
Right.
Of course it's reduced.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Convenience.
Let's give you all the money today. Now we're done. You know.
What's behind your back over there?
It's option B. Option B is a fixed rate. Okay, and the fixed rate is still good, and that is, it's great. But then option C is usually the best. It fluctuates with the market. It's very minimal, and watching the SREC market is like watching paint dry. It is not exciting because it does its job. It goes up. So it's awesome. So my background's also in finance. So I'm a certified financial planner. So that's why I can rattle this off decently. So one-to-one net metering, opportunity. This is, when you're raising kids, I'm from Nevada originally. I wanted a place that I felt was very family oriented. I felt that the core of the family was very important. And I wanted to be able to provide these type of opportunities to homeowners that are raising families and these type of homes, and just be able to minimize those bills so they can have somewhat, of a nicer lifestyle, send their kids to college on their savings. There's so many opportunities. When I dealt with portfolios with a lot of retirees, I noticed how much money is in solar for the homeowner. It's tremendous, especially if they're younger, because they're able to provide those savings to their kids, help them go to college. That's a big one for me. Maybe get themselves a little bit out of debt, whatever. But when managed right with their finances, it is such a wonderful asset to have early on. So that for me is big, and that's one of my biggest motivators. And the market is so fresh, just so fresh, and it's got all these opportunities. And so as up here, we notice, they're watching the news more and more, and they see all these things happening in these other markets. I mean, the blackout in Texas that went on forever. Hello. You know what I mean? When they just passed the bill which affects Virginia and West Virginia, reducing the coal plants in West Virginia and Virginia. Okay? This is a big one.
Yeah.
These are type of things that people don't talk about, but it's going to affect us in a big way, and how much homeowners are going to pay in their electricity. West Virginia is how much their primary source of electricity is used for coal in Virginia and West Virginia.
I'm not sure.
What do you think, Davis?
For the homeowner rate per kilowatt hour?
No, just like percentage-wise. So about 89 to 90% in West Virginia, and I think it's over 60% in Virginia, comes from coal generation.
Yeah, I just want to mic drop that. We're still there. People think we've been talking about renewables in college, on campuses for years, since the 70s, right?
Yeah.
And we're still at those high numbers of coal-powered generation.
Yeah.
And so we get a lot of customers, especially when I was in Home Depot, they're like, oh, solar's it's another new toxic form of power. And it's just money grab. But we're still there. That's still what we have to get out of our atmosphere, detoxifying the soils, and solar is a great first step to that.
Yep.
Please continue.
And then, the government, they said by 2035, they want to get rid of these coal power plants, wind them down to a certain percentage. We're over 50% through that. Okay. Now here's the problem. Okay. Now pay attention. This is important, because these are things I chart and have watched for like 6 to 8 years. The reason why I feel that Virginia, West Virginia, and the surrounding states are so important is because West Virginia is one of 2 states in the entire United States that has no nuclear power. That's huge. Okay, so let's put it together. We're getting rid of coal. This is how we make power. This is how we lower our price per kilowatt for homeowners in the area. Okay, we don't have a backup plan. We are rated second to last in solar adaptation. Opportunity meets action. There's a problem, we are the solution.
Oh.
It is amazing. That is huge. Do you guys see that? It is just prime. So that is why, very factually, this is going to blow up. This year, legislation is passed in several surrounding states, including our own. We will not buy certain coal products, even from our surrounding neighbor sister states.
Yeah. Now, one thing I know I have a question of, just to make it really clear for myself and our viewers, why does that equate to hikes in electric prices?
Okay. Well, let's look at California and Nevada. California, when they needed more electricity, where do they pull from?
Neighboring states.
Neighboring states. What is one of the largest hike rates in the history of the United States? California. And every time they cross the state boundary, guess what the average percentage is of charge to customers in comparison? 300%.
300%.
It explodes the rate the second you cross a state line. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm not a dummy. I pay attention. West Virginia was the #1 supplier for all coal outside of West Virginia. Every surrounding state just outlawed coal. They're shutting down coal power plants, and it's the only freaking state without nuclear power as backup. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
And they were second to last in solar adaptation. I can confidently say that power this last year, there's only about less than 3,000 systems have been installed, and we're already the fastest growing in those 2 markets alone. Why? Because I planted one of my installation teams in the dead center of that state, and we targeted it. And that is where all of our productions come from, and we're paying attention. Too many companies don't care, don't pay attention. We care. We are paying attention, and we're helping homeowners pay attention. I'll probably drive away and get sniped from people in black suits, but hey, because I know too much. But hey,
You heard it here first. He'll get this out here in time.
But that is why this is such a prime market, because it's in the numbers, it's in the data, it's in the facts, and we're doing it already. And we're the first to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said, Craig. Well said. And new information for myself as well, being so new to the solar space and stepping in. So thank you for making that very aware to our people here on the Mid-Atlantic. And it leaves me with the question, why power? You know, with all these other mom and pop companies, of course you'd make more money just building your own company. Why align with power, the fastest growing renewable energy platform in the world?
Well, you just said it.
Oh.
The fastest growing renewable energy company, I would say, in the world. And I would continue to say that because we are exploding at a tremendous rate. We are decentralized. This is the only company that I've actually ever seen a community come together to fund a movement about caring about each other.
Oh.
It has always been banks, CEOs, investors, and I've been a part of that, because that's all there was for that. I didn't even know crowdfunding was real. Like, you think about it, you're like, yeah, unicorns, cool. It's real. Power has proven that people are innately good. And that is a big reason why I back these guys, because they are innately good men. And I believe that it is a very important thing that we're doing. And I believe we are measured by what we do and not what we say. And I think that is the biggest asset we can show our children, or the type of men that we are today.
Well said.
Yeah, if you look at Power, it's more of a community than it is a solar company. We truly are building a community, and this is going to be the fastest growing community within the Power platform, as you will soon see. With great leaders like these two gentlemen, myself partnering up, and really, it's not like any other company where there's competition within the ranks, if you will. We're all individual sellers and team builders and really leading the movement that we're all passionate about. So why Power for me? I owned my own solar company in Dallas. I was doing 60 to 80 deals a month, which is very good for a small to mid-sized company. It was a struggle, having to manage all of the different aspects of the operation. I was great at coaching the sales team and selling. My partner was great at doing the installs, but all the management that it took, the working capital, the amount of investment we needed to put into the business, I couldn't even survive, even though we're doing that many deals, doing tens of millions of dollars per month. The fact is there's hard costs that were associated with the business, which Power has taken on. We use the word decentralized. What does that mean? It means that we're not reliant on one main infrastructure to support the company. We are actually very, very diverse. We're market driven. We have local build partners who are responsible for doing all the local construction. We partner with them, and many of them are part of our ecosystem, so they're not just a subcontractor, if you will. So the key there is knowing that for Power, without having all the massive infrastructure costs like some of the other 6 out of 10 top companies that have gone bankrupt this year. Why? Because they were not decentralized. Power has completely controlled all of the economics, and every deal that comes into Power is a profit center for Power. So I never look over my shoulder saying, am I going to get a commission payment this week? Am I going to get my passive income this week? It's not even a concern whatsoever, because I know that every deal comes in as a profit center. Now, you've seen other companies go bankrupt primarily because they couldn't support, and the sales dipped, as you were talking about. The sales took a big dip in 23. Their infrastructure costs didn't change, but their revenues changed dramatically. Hence, they had no operating revenues to continue. The average company in the industry today has about 2 months of operating revenue. So if we stop selling today, in 2 months, we have no more revenue coming in. That's not the case with Power, because of the nature of decentralization. That's critical to our long-term success and what makes us the fastest growing company in the industry.
Absolutely.
It's so awesome.
Yeah. And I
So awesome.
My Solar Mentor Davis Fund is leading an incredible team in our company. I was super skeptical of Power last year. And, coming to the first day, okay, cool, rah, solar, this is a cult. This is a Sunworshiping cult.
Not a community, a cult.
And then I heard you guys talking about, it's not cult, it's culture. And that kept echoing in my head as we were doing energy management, sitting, listening to amazing speakers all day. You got to move your legs. We were doing and really getting our energies up, and then focused, and then pointed, and really coming together as a group. And by the last day, I ended up getting on stage and taking the purple pill, which was a placebo. And
Or is it?
You
wouldn't remember.
But I realized the reason I wanted to go up there is I was crying. I noticed I was crying because I have never seen a company with such heart and soul. And something at this last Power World, which we just came back from down in Orlando, Florida, I realized how much of this company was inspired by Jonathan Budd's mother and his family. And Davis and I were just talking about this 40 minutes ago, driving over here, how this is actually a family company. Yet it's got the treasure trove of, a post-IPO company about to go IPO, investing. We can actually link if you want to invest in Power. You can see that below.
Link it.
Yeah.
Link
absolutely.
it. Do it.
Yeah. I mean, what are we? We just blew past our $500,000 and you guys just increased.
That's not from the Reg D side. That's from just individual $250 plus investors.
Yeah.
Right now, about $800,000, which we wanted only $500,000. We're going to continue to raise for a little while longer, but our Reg D has just blown through the charts, and that's investors that are $25,000 plus, all part of the community, right? Not the culture, the community. that want to invest into our future growth.
Right. And why does Power need this money?
No.
Why open it to
So it's a great question. It's really to give each of us an opportunity to own a bigger stake in this movement, in this company. It's not that they need the money, they need to give us the opportunity to own a bigger stake. We do all have stock options, which is a great benefit. When you sell on the platform or you build a team on the platform, you get stock options there. But this is a way to have actual stock in the company for the future growth. And as we hope to go IPO, there's all kinds of disclaimers what we have to put in there, why we can't say when we're going to, how we're going to, what that's going to mean. But those who have been around the space know that there's no company in this industry that has the market viability, the working capital, the strength of leadership to be able to take this company to be the strongest IPO the industry has ever seen.
I love that. Now, talking about Power World 2, all these golden nuggets we get from that, the reason I'm still here working with this company, seeing what you guys are doing. Zachary, what energy did you have going to Power World this year? And then did that change or transform or anything like that coming out of it? And what are you doing right now after Power World 2024?
So it's actually a very interesting question. I didn't actually go, I went this year, but I didn't actually go last year, and I went the year before. Last year, as I was saying earlier, it was really tough in a lot of ways. And I almost went. I booked a spot with a friend in San Diego, and I was all excited about it, and I thought I paid for it, and then prices kept going up, and then I realized that it just reserved my stay in this great deal I had, and I hadn't actually paid for it. And so I was looking at the bank thinking, okay, well, what is it actually going to cost now? And I have to pay for it now. And so I was like, shoot, I got to go across. I'm like, but I would like to be. I'm like, okay, it's going to be the next year. And so this is that next year. And, going into it, working with Craig, I had lost not faith in Power. I'll be very clear on that. Faith in some of the growth in this country as a whole, and some of the things that were changing in 2023. Started thinking, okay, my clearance is still active. I could, go work in the fields I was in before, potentially part-time, potentially full-time, maybe do both. And I really don't want to do the corporate 9-to-5 life where earlier, there's a little video that Charles is playing around, trading your time and energy versus the freedom of working 80 hours for yourself versus the, 40 hours, 60 hours for someone else. I was doing a lot of commuting. So all this was in my mind, and, Craig worked through projects that move through and are installed or going into installation in a time frame that, I'm able to not feel like I have to go back to that. So all of that leading up, he was like, we were doing a lot of great work, and he's like, just get your ticket. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
But we set a goal.
Yep.
And here was the goal. The goal was, first off, we were going to do Home Depot. We made that decision together.
Yes.
And we're like, we're going to freaking crush Home Depot, freaking elbow it, and go the leads and bars. And then, and we loved it, man. We're taking pictures, we're getting to know everybody. We really enjoyed it. I loved. You guys go. What's happening?
Give us 1 second.
All right.
Just click the...
Good. I don't have to redo that. I can just stay posed.
Does it say record after you click the button again? Yeah.
Has it been not recording this whole time?
No. It just...
That would be insane.
It just stopped.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
let's start over. I'm like, well,
cameras.
I gotta go.
Yeah, go ahead and just say the goal again.
Yeah, so we decided, come hell or high water, no matter what, we're gonna really push forward. Why? Because we saw the opportunity here in this particular region. Also, another plug on why this area is so prime is because prior to this year, several of the states around here have leases marked as an illegal thing to sell or offer. Literally illegal. This year, we are the first to market with a lease in Virginia. First to market with a lease in West Virginia. Guys, the proposition for domination is incredible. And so the first thing that Zach and I did is like, all right, let's do a lease. Like, let's go. And so we did. We cranked out a lease right away, and we were really excited because everybody wants to be first. At least I do. I think it's fun. And so we did that, and that was what was his name again? His name was
CW.
CW. He is the best. CW is the best. CW needs to be on all the power commercials. Awesome guy. He calls himself Speed Racer. He's in a wheelchair, and he's like, hey, you want to ride? And he's just the coolest guy. He's there's a picture online, and his hand is so large. He's palming the top of my head.
Oh yeah.
And everybody's seeing that, and I'm cracking up. He's like,
You got a big head, man.
dude, his hand is huge.
That's crazy.
But we said, after that, no matter what, let's go to Power. Let's have a good time. Let's really focus on that and everything. I've always known that if I work really hard on the day, the hour that I'm given, it always works out. And I truly believe that because we are enough. We can be enough in the hour that we are given, in the day that we are given. Focus on the now and give it hell. And guess what? We installed. We sold. We made it work. Have like 1 million leads here. Let's go. You know what I mean? So that paid for both of our Power World trips.
It did, yeah.
Nice. So then coming back from Power World, how does a high-performing solar consultant, an educator, do coming back from the leading yearly event?
So I was super hyped leaving, and I was traveling, and my plane got delayed, and travel kind of stuff, and all this excitement. It's not uncommon, people don't always talk about this, but it's happened at multiple events. I think Dallas, Jonathan Budd had COVID. So I didn't test, and these days the tests aren't even that accurate. But
we're like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah,
He's got COVID right now.
Yeah, but so like I'm good right now. I'm fine. All good. But the thing is that I got back and I was literally like just sweating and I'm like getting on a call, taking acetaminophen, getting on a Zoom call with potential partners with Craig while he's onboarding and investing into this company more, and he's on calls. We have like a potential partner call that he was gonna run. I'm like, we just did this whole thing around enterprise, so I wasn't gonna be the co-host. I became the host of that call, and I ran through slides and talked about everything. So we have a potential partner.
Did great.
Yep, so we have a potential partner, which is exciting. So that's something, I took from and moved forward. And then, events has always been my thing. But then, really having other people to work with and having that community that's been brought up over time and time again is so big because we can't do any of this alone. This is something that I feel like you can go fast for a while alone, but you can't go far. You hear it time and time again. And, I've heard it, but I didn't always fully embody and believe it. And then over time, continuing to go fast and fall on my face, I started really more and more realizing how much the community, so after Power World and having that community, having that energy that imbued in me, even with being sick, I did what I needed to rest, but I also putting my energy in while I feel it. So while we're working to do energy management for people and bring savings into their homes, what's really actually a huge value is to realize that, energy conservation and energy management within ourselves, self-care, these things allow us to be at our full presence and be aware of what we're doing when we're with people. So that way, when we are doing it, it's not we're doing 80 hours, we're doing the quality time. So I've been more focused in I took some time where I stepped back, but I did that also as I'm stepping forward, as I'm feeling better, so that way I'm not leading with my worst foot forward. Yeah. So I've been basically moving forward that way.
Right, it's kind of like a 3 steps forward, 1 step back kind of situation.
Yes.
And that's an excellent segue too, and I'll throw this one at yours, Sir Charles. being so highly successful, you know, we go through our emotional, energetic hurdles, our physical hurdles. I mean, you've come back from a stroke in the last year, correct?
I have indeed.
And you're looking better than ever, man. Out
Feeling
here
good.
leading the charge on the East Coast and building incredible teams. I mean,
He lets me stick around. I'm pretty sure I'm the reason for the stroke. And he's like, we'll keep him around anyway.
yeah, I mean, it blows my mind being around such just highly valuable people that have really crystallized who they are and what they're here on this earth to do. What have been some of your personal struggles, if you don't mind me asking, coming to where you've gotten to today, being the person you are today? And how do you stay on that focused pinpoint of what you're here to do and staying healthy and mentally clear?
Well, first of all, the stroke, as you brought that up. And that was about 7 months ago. And there were so many things that led into that where I could have controlled it, but had lost a lot of my, I guess, cognitive abilities to do that. The pressure of launching a Home Depot campaign, the pressure of doing a big fundraising that I had to do to accomplish that. So many things. The health of my daughter, who is my why I'm here. And I mean, I could tell you 10 other things, but got to a point where I didn't have as much control, and all it took was one night. But they said it would take you about a year to get back to being able to communicate, and I took that as a challenge. I said, well, I've got to be at Power World and be on stage in 6 months. So it was about 3 months after rehab on physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy that they said, you're good to go. Wow. And here I am, thank God, seriously. Right. So that was a true blessing that I was able to overcome what was the biggest challenge I've ever faced in my life. And largely because I have such a great community and a great family and a great wife who really guided me through the recovery process. So grateful for that.
Amen.
Yeah. And then in terms of what I faced in the industry itself, I mean, we started as a very small, it was a family-based company. And I was running my own company. I was at the time that I transitioned here, I was the director of the outside sales force for a company called Direct Energy, at the time the largest energy company in the world. We created the solar division. Prior to that, I was with a company called NRG. But when I was told about what Power was setting out to do, and I met Jonathan Butt, our CEO, I said, I got to be part of this. I have to be part of this. This is the shift that the industry needs. And what really was amazing, first of all, how I got in the solar industry, just to rewind the tape 1 second, is we have a special needs child with cystic fibrosis. And when she was coming home, I asked, what are we going to do to make her more comfortable at home? And I discovered what was happening with our planet and environment, with the coal and the pollution that's being created. It's not about climate change, because that's controversial. That can divide people between. But is there one person here today that can say pollution doesn't exist? That's not controversial. So that became my focus. My focus was to reduce as much pollution as I possibly can. And I'll tell you, the average solar system that goes out there reduces pollution in a major way, to the tune of about 4 to 5 BMWs going up into the atmosphere. That much weight each year is reduced from carbon pollution going into the atmosphere. That, to me, was why I needed to do what I do today. And yeah, we had a lot of fights, a lot of battles, a lot of challenges you had to overcome. But when you have a strong why and you truly believe in what we're doing, nothing will stop you. Even a stroke won't stop you. Yep, economically, hey, I had some tough times. I had tough times where I couldn't even afford to have a car living downtown Dallas. I had to take a bus to go places. I had to hitch a ride with friends. But, just a few short years later, those numbers have changed dramatically, and I now have a beautiful ranch here, a Freedom Farm in Charlottesville, Virginia. I have everything that I could possibly want by the power of the network that we've built, the solar industry, and the Power platform, in a great community to support us along the way.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And for Zach and Craig, is there anything that Charles didn't say that you've personally head-butted against your own inner demons, or just what life throws at us? Right? Like, we all got them. I'm very new to sales, and fulfillment and being right there with the customer and client, being like, hey, how can you help me? And being like that person that has that vision is like, I know I can help you. That's something I'm still building, and why I'm interviewing some of the greats, because I want to absorb that energy. So for our listeners, other people that are doing what I'm doing and growing and pushing themselves to be chiseled into that diamond, how have you guys done that for yourselves?
So the question is, what exactly?
Sorry, I like to talk. So what are your like what has been like a personal battle that you've had to overcome to reach the kind of heights that you have gotten to?
Yeah. So after the sale of my first company, Prosper Security, which was my baby, it was my baby. I was going to pass it on to my boys. Then COVID hit, and then we were given an opportunity. And the opportunity was to sell at a price point that we would never have imagined or thought, and it was because the need for recurring revenue was so great in larger security companies that they were willing to pay way too much. So my wife, she was very blunt. She was, oh, no, we're selling. And at the time, we had accrued about 17,000 in-home accounts, and we learned how to broker our own deals. We had our own banking system, and our recurring revenue was in-house. Everything was in-house. There's no dealer programs. We have our own call center, still there today. You look on the website, call a number, Prosper Security, still there, answering phones every time an alarm goes off. So for me, I ran a very successful company, and I was used to being the CEO of a very successful company, and I was used to having things my way and being heard and listened to, and I choosing to come in quietly was awesome, because it was a wonderful, humbling moment to make sure that I acted appropriately as a rep, and then kind of saw the contrast. And I saw all the things that I could contribute, and a big realization that all too often we work for companies. What can this company do for me? What can it give me? Me. Take. And kind of seeing that contrast for the first time, again, I realized, you know what, I would be willing to do whatever I could to give first, no matter what, and then all of a sudden took me to a whole new level, being passionate about solar, really believing in it, believing in the people around me, believing in families, believing in all the good things. Because I'm not driven by anything, negative. It's all just so very positive. And it brought, for the first time in my life, a lot of joy. And my life has always been, I've grinded everything I've earned. I've worked very hard. And so to be able to say that brought joy was kind of a big accomplishment. Because there's a difference between happiness and then there's joy. Mm-hmm. Joy is very, very deep and very fulfilling. And I think it's contagious. Mm. Because I think Zach has felt that. I think others around me have felt that. And everything we're doing here is just awesome. But my biggest challenge was, I've put really good systems in place. And so being like, no, you must do it like this, and no, you must do it like this. No, you must do it like this. And these guys are so kind. They're very, and not knowing my background, they're very gentle with me. They're like, you might want to tone that down a little bit or whatever, and I'm like, okay. And so I've really learned a lot, and what a wonderful growing moment. And so it's been really cool.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. My father is a CEO of a highly successful HVAC company around the DC metropolitan area. He would call me when he was out at just, events, hunting camp events, where he'd be like, Joel, these guys are bullying me. What do I do? I'm like, Dad, are you calling me because I get bullied at school all the time and I know how to handle it? And I had to coach my dad on that. So I've experienced that as well. Zachary.
You guys didn't bully me, just for the record.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like HR. I'm
not saying that.
You guys are great.
No. but humbling oneself to be like, you know what, it's okay when somebody's giving me a hard time. They mean well and they're just trying to make you laugh or bring joy into your life or make you see something a different way that can help yourself.
You know, I just want to interject because Craig, you brought up something that really was a great way for us to, I think, deeply connect. When the company did have you brought up the challenges with how things were being presented. Not that there was anything wrong, it was just different. We had to spend, 30 to 45 days, weekly meetings and really kind of overviewing that. And so humbled. He really didn't take this posture of, I'm this, I'm that. He said, okay, look, I'm willing to learn. And he overcame those challenges. We became dearer friends because of that. And it's just, again, part of the culture, the community that we work in. We do things differently, but we do them for a purpose.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Zach, is there anything you wanted to add to that question?
Yes, so repeat it one more time.
Yeah, so it's a big question apparently. But any internal struggles that you've faced in your professional and personal growth? Like what has been those moments where you've pushed through and realized a new pasture?
Yeah, so I've spoken other times on personal a bit, but I think this is actually a good moment to talk a little bit about, that'll help a lot of people that are listeners. I've always thought of myself in a way as an entrepreneur, and yet society and expectations and just the pressures of providing for oneself and family and just living in the world, I still followed go to school. I did some homeschooling, some private tutoring. I was blessed to have some of that, but I went, to associate's degree, transferred, went into a bachelor's, continued academia, continued and stayed in school, and then went and started working government contracting in the DC, DMV area, which is pretty common in this area of this country. It's very common. And the only thing with that is, you're basically a cog in this bigger machine, but what's often not as talked about, and one of the things I observed is that I would always butt heads because of this desire for more freedom of expression, to be able to be my own boss, and I would push at different times and I would hit resistance, but there's this comfort that comes, even if it's in a sense, a false sense of comfort, of being paid every month in a pay stub with benefits and working through this, and it's sort of like a pacifier. But the thing is that it's not often talked about, but a lot of people listening feel this, and I think it's a very painful topic, and I don't think it's unique to me. I think it's something I hit against a lot, is this feeling of emptiness. You may get to be proficient, you may get awards, you may get a 3%, oh my gosh, a 5% bump in a month or in a year, and yet inside it's for someone else's vision oftentimes, and it's not aligned, and it's feels like you're suppressing yourself, because most of the time, in my case, I was. And I think what was really challenging is I knew I needed something different, and I tried. I did the side hustle, right, of before even solar side hustle. And sure, I actually did that for a little window. Yeah, actually, funny enough.
I was
during COVID, yep. And then, I won't get onto that tangent, but that was small. But, I did all sorts of little things, but I didn't fully leave, but I wanted to. And, over time, COVID was a great waking up for a lot of people to reflect. It was sort of the positive side of a lot of the challenges. And I started to really realize I wanted something more, and I pushed for that in other avenues. We talked about wealth, and I did a lot of different stuff with investing stuff, and all of that was going on, and I wanted more, and that's when I was mentioning earlier, my brother introduced me to solar. So I started it part-time. I wasn't ready to feel comfortable to take the leap away from a steady paycheck. And this is something that's really hard to get away from when you're used to it. Mm-hmm. And it's really tough to shift your mindset to, you're learning all these new skills, you're learning about yourself, and you're learning to serve others. Because really when you're working for yourself, I think one of the biggest challenges is it's not so structured and clearly outlined as this is your formula. And that's the beauty of it, but it's also a huge challenge and it's scary, right? It is just it's scary in a way. You're like, okay, well, now I have to create what I'm doing. And so I think what happened for me is I knew I needed to quit. In my soul, in my heart, I knew deep down. I had a car crash. It was really a huge thing, but I was already like about to leave where I was working, and it was like a near-death kind of moment. I was saved. I recently was talking with a recruit. I didn't do a lot of mentorship I did a lot of mentorship, but not a lot of bringing people into the Power platform. Partly 2023 kind of scared me on that a lot, but I'm stepping into that. And in a conversation recently with my main mentee that I've been working with, I realized that in a way, I've had this ongoing always story of I can only trust myself. But before this car crash, I could only trust myself. Everybody else at some point is going to let me down. Society, people, and this car crash happened when I was already feeling like I didn't want to do the work I was doing. I had people that I didn't know come to my aid. God, people, community came to my aid, saved me. Then didn't get my quote pay raise that I was so after, that so many people are after when they're working a 9 to 5 to move this corporate ladder. And I got medical time off. Best thing ever that could have happened to me. Medical time paid off to do more of what? Well, look, think, reflect, become a new person, trust more in myself. And I found myself just more and more doing more in solar. And then at some point, a certain point, there was a moment, there's like, they're restructuring, doing an audit to restructure this government contract, and people aren't doing the work and no one's talking about it because they just want to keep getting paid their paycheck because their livelihood rests on it. And some of the officials said, why is there not engagement? And I was already done. And I'm not going to muzzle myself. I just said, you know what it is? There's like 17 people on a Zoom call. What it is everybody here knows that the faster they work, they're going to work their way out of a job. And it's going to go away. And this is what happens in tech all over in corporate America. Mm-hmm. And so funny enough, after that call, I get a call from the government official that I was very close with, and he's like, you might want to be careful around these things, and he's like, look out for my best interest. And I knew he was coming that way, but then I also knew these layoffs were going to come, and I already had a conversation with my director. He had told me that there was a certain amount of time, he doesn't know exactly when, and he said, unless you want to do these things, you're going to be laid off. He didn't know exactly when. So he called me. It was like right after this call later that afternoon, and I answered the phone, and he's like, so you know that day? It's today. It's, yep.
The same day?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah, same day. Yeah. And then I realized this huge, I was already feeling it, but this huge epiphany is that there is no job security.
Right. And
these internal demons, we're gonna have to face them whether we keep pushing it off or whether we just dive right in. I still wrestle in turmoil with the element of the working is in working for yourself. There's the beauty of it and the freedom of it, but there's this really, that the reality is there's the hard truth of it is that it is about really, it is a giver's gain, like Power said it. And it's sometimes hard to realize that, I can be a bit selfish at times, and I don't think it's inherently wrong. I think what's inherently wrong is that we've been conditioned to believe that that's okay. That's how we're supposed to be.
Right.
And so that's what my inner struggle and my inner kind of awakening with Power and with everything I've gone through.
Yeah.
I will tell you this much. After his brother called me and introduced us, and I invited him over, I said, hey, what job did you just have? So I worked for the government. I said, question 2, are you a narc? And he goes, no. Okay, come in. I knew we were friends.
You had to ask. Yeah, no, Zach, thanks for sharing all that. And like, I also struggle with the same thing. And Davis, my solar partner and mentor and dear friend, is always on that high vibe, focused on the God perspective and aligning with that vibration. And I'm just, sometimes it annoys the crap out of me because I get really dark in my mind and self-critical, and of others too. And I notice that on calls, I'm like, I got to stop it, because it's like, I don't know. And letting go of that selfish idea that, oh, I know what's going on in that person, instead of just knowing like, they're just like me. They probably have the same thoughts going on just like me. And I have the ability to say, hey, we're humans together. Let's work through this. How can I help you? And that's more and more of what power pushes is, hey, it's not about sales, it's about education and relationship, and opening instead of closing, opening that lifelong relationship. To just jump into our last bonus questions. Thank you for sharing all of that, guys. That's going to be super helpful for all our viewers. Guys, let us know if there's any other questions on another podcast you want me to talk to. We'll probably have more of these in the future. Some bonus questions, and take as much time on this as you want, Charles. But you mentioned last time I was here that when you joined Power, Jonathan Budd was also talking about permaculture and regenerative farming as part of this platform. How is that potentially shaping now or in the future alongside the Freedom Farm and your own efforts?
Yeah, thank you for that. For Power, it is definitely a future portion of what we do. But what we've done is we've really had to be laser focused on solar and creating a platform to disrupt this industry. The goal is to really get into the food, water, everything that it takes to have people have true freedom. But you got to make sure you find your lane and you perfect that before you start to diversify. So Power has done that and has continued to do that and will be the best in the industry. But there's those of us who really have a passion for that. One of the other reasons I didn't want to take too deep of a dive earlier for coming here is to begin my own permaculture. I'm part of an entity that really promotes the not only energy freedom, but the food, growing your own food, getting away from all the dependence on what society has put into our foods today, and just being truly free. This farm will end up feeding the community within the next 12 to 24 months. There's no question about it. It's amazing if you think about it. With a quarter of an acre, you can feed your family. And rather than growing grass, grow food. And that is something that we are going to be pursuing parallel to what we're doing with Power. I'm super excited about it. I'm part of a council of 12 incredible human beings that have done amazing things for the planet, for the environment, for our bodies, for you name it.
Shout out to Jim Gale.
Jim Gale is one of those fine gentlemen. Joe Salatin, one of the world famous farmers, is part of our council. And there's many more. I don't want to get into too many names here, but that is for my personal why, to really start to develop the portion and then fold that into, at some point when Power is completely evolved, make that part of what we offer, so that we offer true independence and freedom to everyone in the world, not just a homeowner that has solar on their roof, but every human being that has a quarter of an acre or more and can create their own level of freedom, depending on what their needs are. That's my goal. That's my why, is to really change the world. You know, big business is not going to do it. There's no question about it. They all have their motivations. They all just follow the money. And in this case, follow the passion. Follow the people who believe in what they're trying to achieve. And that's where you should put your heart. This company, you said so many wonderful things about how you can tap into resources that you can't tap into in normal corporate America. We're a community. We have open meetings where people go into those meetings and listen to experts within the respective markets. We have mentors in the platform that can help anyone who doesn't know how to sell either learn how to sell or really specialize their industry. And then we take it beyond that with everything we're talking about. The future for this company is, there's no limitations. It's absolutely the fastest growing in the industry today. And I can only imagine when we start rolling in all additional products and services, what we'll be able to achieve. Join us, be part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, you're so good at that. I love it. The passion, you can feel it. The focus and the vision is right there. And it's so crazy to think how young this company really is and how far our leaders are thinking of. Yeah, one of the last things I'm really curious about, Charles, you've been pioneering this. I really have no idea what this. You've been
farm.
It is a farm. Yeah,
right?
true.
Yeah.
You've been pioneering this strategy called privatization. Would you tell us a little bit about your journey with that, as much as you want to share? Because I know you haven't been in it too long, but you're a highly educated man on the topic, and you jumped in. What does that mean?
Yeah, I would be cautious about how deep I get on that, because that is a slippery slope. And you go down it, you start to really have to get educated on what to do. But privatization for me is really to create the true freedom. The system is what the system is, and I believe, quite frankly, it's corrupt at every level, from corporate America into our government. And as much independence I can have from that, I'm going to take advantage of that. There are laws within the system that many of us don't know about. They don't know about even the United States being a corporation. Most people, when you hear that, you go, so what? The United States government is a corporation. And I made a decision to become private about 2 years ago. And it's been a life-changing experience thus far, but not enough where I can say to somebody, here's what you do. But keep an eye. Within the next year, the Freedom Educator, which is my brand on Instagram today, got a small following, getting better and better all the time. Keep an eye out, and within the next year, I'm going to unveil what many are afraid to say. I'm not afraid to say it, because I believe truly in my heart what I'm doing is right for me and for my family, and quite frankly, for the community. And I'll share more of those details in the coming year as everything starts to unveil.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Charles. And, here at the Decentralized Power podcast, we are focused on community as the answer to almost all of our human struggles. We are constantly growing, decentralizing, sharing the power from our monopolies out to the people, whether that be food, education, knowledge, Chick-fil-A.
It's pretty obvious I don't do very many podcasts.
It's okay.
I'll just leave now and come back.
That's fine, man. I like it raw and wild. That's why we have our mobile recording studio. Just a little shout out. Part of
Put the power logo on there.
And my name is...
Sponsor us, Chick-fil-A.
Greg.
We'll zoom up really close. That's funny. But yeah, we here at the Decentralized Power podcast support this company, Power. We're part of it. It's an incredible movement. We have some incredibly sharp minds and deep hearts with real purpose and passion for this. From building community like the New Earth Solar team to creating incredible wealth, helping change people's lives with Zach and Craig and Charles leading from the front through unknown times and pioneering this way for us to come behind and keep growing the mission. So thank you for tuning in. I just wanted to give this time to you guys to plug anything. You just plugged your Freedom Educator. Charles, if you'd want to start, and then Zach and Craig, go for it.
Just add to what you just said. We do talk about the amount of money that can be made in this industry, and I just want to make sure that I balance that out. You can make great money in this industry, but you make great money in this industry by creating impact, and that's by helping other people. That is either a homeowner who makes the decision to go solar and take control of their electric bill, or other people like these fine gentlemen establish a new career. That's when you can establish just life-changing income in the platform, but it's about impact that creates income. We don't go around waving, you can become a millionaire. You can, but you have to work your butt off to be able to do that, and you have to partner up with the right people to be able to accomplish that. So in terms of what I'd like people to share, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram. I'm the Solar Doctor. That was my brand before I established Freedom during the pandemic. And that's doctor with a K-D-O-K-T-O-R, so I don't get accused of being a medical doctor. And the Freedom Educator on Instagram. It's a great way. I have free content out there. I teach a lot on time management, on how to communicate persuasively without being aggressive, how to just basically overcome your limiting beliefs that we all have. And those are courses that I release one segment at a time every 2 weeks. And then when it's complete, then I'll release the entire course for free. I'm not looking to gain any income from that. I'm looking to help change lives. That's what it's all about for me.
Wow. Thank you, Charles, for sharing that. Zach, what do you got, man? What's coming up?
Yeah, so as a member on the Power platform, it's key to mention this to people that are thinking about Power. It is a platform. It enables people to come together, whether it's homeowners or sellers and consultants or installers and businesses. So this platform is growing. I go as Solar Fi Guy, solar.fi.guy on Instagram. That's where I've been. However, I've been branching out both in podcasts as well as starting to do some stuff with YouTube, playing with AI because that's where the technology is going, and learning things even like TikTok. Hopefully it's not banned from people like Craig is teaching me some things with TikTok. So that's some. Also, I do want to plug that there's some events coming up. So if anybody sees this before the Arts and Crafts Festival, Crozet Arts and Crafts Festival, that's going to be October. It's like the 11th and 12th or 12th and 13th that weekend, the Saturday and Sunday. Then we also have another event which you can come out, learn about solar in sort of a low pressure environment, just ask questions, see if your roof's good. It does vary on different people's house, whether or not actually solar is good. It's not for everyone, but it is for a lot of people, and it can make a lot of sense. We're gonna be in Roanoke. This is gonna be the biggest event that I've ever worked on. It's a pretty big deal. There's gonna be about 40,000 people in attendance at GoFest in Roanoke. That's gonna be the next following weekend after that. So definitely reach out to us. Check that out, look online. Yeah.
Nice. And Craig, you just got a little video here.
Yeah, we sent it off to Jonathan Budd just now.
Hey, let's go. What's up, Jay Budd?
Here's our plug. Go to wefunder.com/power. You are powerful.
POWUR.
Because you are powerful.
The difference is you.
The difference is
The difference is
That's
you.
so good. That's good. The difference is you. Yeah. So join us in owning a part of a company that is pre-IPO. Lightning strikes very rarely, alright, within a range of you in a lifetime. And I was fortunate enough to take a part of a one IPO, and I never thought I'd do it again. Gosh, we are very, very fortunate. Go there, fund as low as $250, as high as you like, and come be part of a company that's making a real difference. Also, I have to put a plug in for my wife and I. We actually, my wife runs a hospital for youth rehabilitation, and it's in Richmond. It's called Hallmark Youth Care. They are by far the best in the state. They are housing over 100 full-time youth in rehabilitation scenarios. They're court ordered to live there full-time to be able to rehabilitate and be put right back into society. That is our passion. And that is a big reason why Jonathan and I have become such close friends. We share his story, and that is our ultimate goal, is to do as much good as possible. And I believe those young men and women have great capacity to do great things. They matter. We see them. We love them. And we want them to thrive.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Craig. So thank you for tuning in to the Decentralized Power podcast. This will be the first of many connections and integrations with a lot of our network, from freedom to food security to energizing your own homestead and taking your power back, decentralizing and creating that homestead of your dreams to be free, live free, be healthy and wealthy in all things, my friends. Blessings and thank you. And thank you to our fabulous panel. Have a good night. Peace.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
This is so much fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great work.
Awesome.
I'm going to go water the plants out.
Sounds good.